Hey, everyone, and welcome to an all new episode of Wicked Unscripted, where we have unscripted conversations about some of the most popular reality shows on television. My name is Abigail Adams. I am your host for this podcast. Joining me today, as always, is the lovely Sarah Talks, and we are back to discuss the Survivor 46 finale.
Ooh,
Wow.
congratulations on your
Thank you.
draft win.
Thank you. We went into this very lopsided. Well, we were pretty close, but once
We were
Maria
neck
got
and neck the
knocked
whole
out,
time up until
yeah.
last week.
And so
And
how you were in the final 5 with 4 people.
yeah. Yeah. But I'm excited. I mean, regardless, like I'm very excited for Kenzie. I'm excited to have a woman win.
Oh, yeah. Her story's incredible.
It is. I've loved Charlie since cast announcement. He has pulled at my heartstrings the whole season.
Yep.
So I feel for him. I feel like he would have been an incredible winner, but I also stand by him and that the jury, like the true winner wins because the
Yep.
jury doesn't pick wrong winners.
I'm glad you brought that up because that was going to be one of the things that I mentioned, because I think that was a wildly mature comment that I think that some people, no matter how old they get, won't even understand that, you know? So
I
it's
mean,
just
it's a discussion that we have every single one of these shows and every single season for Big Brother, for Survivor, when it is jury based. I mean, we have the same discussion for House of Villains.
yep.
So, but what I enjoy most about this is that you had Kenzie, it came down to Kenzie and Charlie in two very different games. And I feel like we could dedicate an entire podcast episode alone on a social strategy versus a social game versus a strategic game,
Mhm.
because his game was wildly strategic and he was fantastic at that, which like I I have such a lady boner for. But then, Kenzie had the social game, which obviously carried her far and got her the win. So I think it's an interesting discussion to have and something that I would love to dig deeper into because as like future survivor, like well, they're already filming 47. So for the cast going into 48, it's something that they're gonna have to keep top of mind. I don't know, but that production house stays busy, booked and busy.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Well,
anyway, so what I was just saying is that so the cast of 48 watching in this, like it'd be interesting to know, like because even if they're like you're gonna have the fans that have seen every season, then you're gonna have the ones that have the you're gonna have the people that were good God words, um, that will only watch season 47,
yes.
46.
We are just not numbering today.
No, this is what happens when we record in the morning.
Sarah's like, more caffeine, please.
More caffeine.
Sorry,
Yeah,
do
not
we
40 several. They will have only seen 46.
but let's start though on a little bit of a different note. Because it kind of ties into this. I mean, 46 has been one of the more popular seasons that we've had in recent times. Now, obviously, the number of people who watch television, especially like not live television, but watching premieres of shows and stuff like that, those numbers have dropped off since the 2000s when appointment television was everything. And that's when Survivor started. But currently, CBS has announced that Survivor was just the #1 entertainment show among adults in the following age categories: 18 to 34, 18 to 49, and 25 to 54. That's the first time since season 2 that
Yeah,
that's happened.
viewership's really, really high. I actually saw some discord in the comments on TikTok where people were like, well, no one wants to. Oh, it was about the Sia prize money. So CBS announced that the Sia prize was no longer. I believe that Sia doesn't want to do it anymore, and CBS is supporting her by making the announcement for her. Not
It
that they're
was Jeff that
stopping
made
her.
it, by the way.
Yeah, so Jeff
Yeah.
Jeff made the post about it. So I think that when Sia said she wasn't going to do it anymore, Jeff offered to make the post for her, just kind of showing that they're aligned, that
Yeah.
CBS didn't stop it or Jeff didn't stop it, and that's, like they're in agreement about it.
Yeah.
I think it was just like an optics thing, but people were saying that, oh well, it doesn't suit her anymore because ratings are down, and I was like,
I mean, you and I
ratings
will
have never
definitely.
been higher.
You and I. Here's the thing. I've seen a couple people make comments about this on social, and it has definitely made me rethink how maybe moving forward into next season, how I view and cover Survivor, because I feel like we've been so critical of the show and being like, I'm worried. I've said I'm worried about the show. I'd probably say it a bunch of times this
Yeah.
season. And I think, to be
But we're
clear,
talking longevity. We're talking like
right.
a 10-year plan, not like
But I
it's going
think
to get canceled next season.
But I do think even in that, I even want to walk back some of my concerns, because if we are going to have seasons like this that are so fascinating, and I mean, oh my God, we have a Rob has a podcast person coming, thumbs up
Yeah.
at the right time if you're watching them.
Yay, Asia.
So exciting.
I'm going to fight you for her on the draft. Like,
Okay, well, then we'll have to make a deal. If you take her, then I automatically get John Lovett.
deal.
Okay, so that's a deal. Not because I know anything about how he's going to play the game, but John Lovett from Pod Save America?
I love
Oh
Asia
my
so
God.
much.
Oh
I'm so
my
excited.
God. When I saw that, I was like, no, there's no way. That's not John.
But
And
I've been seeing on Twitter. I'm just loving that that's going to feed into the Discord. Every year there's a conspiracy that Chappelle's going to be on Big Brother. And
it's time.
and this is just going to fuel that fire. I'm very excited.
So
I'm so stoked.
we'll talk a little bit more about that later in the episode once we get through all the
Yeah.
Survivor 46 stuff. But I just got to say, oh my God. And I really wanted to start with that because I want to recognize, at least for myself, that I think I've been a little overly critical this season of Survivor by looking at these numbers and being like, well, because here's the thing. Just because it doesn't work for me doesn't mean it's not working for other people.
Right.
Doesn't mean that it's not something that they should continue to do. I'm still going to stand by they really need to diversify these competitions, but elsewhere, I don't know. I don't know. There's a lot to dive into when it comes to that, and maybe going into the next season, you and I can kind of like take a look at all these kinds of things and kind of take a deeper dive.
I
Into
loved
it.
this season. This was probably my favorite season I've watched live.
Easily.
I liked, I was talking like season 45 was obstacle course puzzle. I got more diversity in the comps this season. There were still obstacle course puzzles, but they even changed the puzzles this year. So, and then the cast just really carried it. The cast was incredible. I feel like last season, if I'm looking back overall, the focus from production seemed more on the cinematography of it all. It looked like they put a lot of effort into the visuals and the cinematography and the slow motion action shots and stuff like that, whereas this season they tend to just they gave us the people, they cast well and they kind of let them ride. Now there were some early on, like the Banu of it all, things that production was just,
of it all.
but they have improved. They have stepped up their game, and I thoroughly enjoyed this season from start to finish. I was glued to every minute. And even the competitions, which says a lot for me, because typically I like to fast forward through those, or that's like my potty break. That's, I'm just there to see when they win. But I really did like this season. And I want to say before we move on, because I don't know if that my ADHD meds have fully kicked in. So before we forget about the Sia prize.
Oh yeah.
What I'm hoping, and I would really, really like, because I was disappointed when I saw Jeff's post. I feel like having something out there, say you go out there and you just can't, you're not great at comps, you're not great at anything else, but you are a fan favorite. Everyone loves you, and that was kind of the incentive. That was a nice way for those people to be rewarded. Same as we have like America's Player for or America's Vote for Big Brother, but I feel like Survivor did used to have
Yes.
America's Vote early on.
AT&T did it for a very long time, and out of nowhere, I don't know if it's out of nowhere, but at some point they abruptly stopped.
Mhm.
And that's when Sia stepped in and was like, no, I still want certain players to be getting their flowers. And it actually turned like it used to just be one single player when it was AT&T.
Mhm.
It was AT&T player of the season or whatever. And what Sia did was like, look, my money, my rules, I get to give to as many people as I want, but I am gonna follow like the idea of like
Yeah.
rewarding people for like being entertaining.
Good humans and yeah.
Good humans, all of that kind of stuff. I would like to see it come back too. I just don't see it happening because
First of all, I don't think it's Sia's responsibility to do this.
no.
She is an ultimate super fan of the show, and this was very kind for her to do this for as long as she did. Just to be clear, no one from season 46 will be receiving the Sia prize. It's not like it's stopping moving forward. It stopped with this, like this. There's no one from this season getting the Sia prize, but I don't think that she should ever feel obligated to continue to do this. But I do think that the show needs to bring back like America's Vote and have something very similar.
If
Who
we're
do you
gonna have
think would have
someone
gotten it from this season had they?
if you're are you talking about if Sia picked or if it was the America picked
If
via like
Sia picked, she
AT&T?
would have picked Charlie.
She would have picked a bunch of people. She would have picked Charlie. I think she would have picked Banu,
Mm,
and I think she would have picked Jess.
okay.
I think those are two.
Yeah.
Maybe she would have. There might have been somebody else in the middle. You know, maybe she. Nah, that's probably my personal bias. I was like, I could see her going for Venus. Could also see her possibly picking Liz. There's a bunch of people that I could see her picking.
Now, if it was America's Vote,
Now, if it was America's Vote, shit.
I still think Charlie. I think that there's just such a strong outcry out there of people.
I think it would have been Kenzie.
Um.
I think Kenzie.
Oh, I'm
would have
saying if
walked
it
away
could
with it.
not. I'm sorry, but not the winner. Like the winner couldn't win it.
Winner was allowed to win it, but
Yeah,
if it wasn't, I'm just going through people in my brain. Yeah,
that's only right. I would have
I think it would be Charlie after
yeah.
that. I just had to like go through the whole cast in my brain for a second.
Maybe Ben.
I think Ben would have very much been up there because
Or
they would
the
announce the top
feminists could have
three.
come together and we could have all gotten Venus her
Well, I
flowers.
think Venus actually would have surprised people with how many votes. I don't know if she would have made top 3, but I think she would have surprised people with how many votes she would have garnered. Because there are people who would have definitely been like, I have 5,000 emails. I will be using all of them
Yeah.
to vote for
Yeah, for sure.
because that's the kind of fan base she has.
Mhm.
So yeah, my final thought on that, and then we'll move on to this breakdown, is we just talked about ratings, right? Survivor's like doing the best in its ratings right now than it's done in years. Why would this not be an opportunity for somebody to step in, especially a business that really needs some good PR? I'm not saying that I'm promoting it, but I'm just saying like if a place has had like a PR crisis lately and they want to kind of like get
Or
some
Applebee's.
I think Applebee's is like we've got the Applebee's challenge.
Applebee's has
We're
got
fine.
more publicity from Survivor than they have in like I don't know 20 years of commercials.
So funny. But they're I can't imagine that there isn't a business that
Chili's. Oh my god, can you imagine?
that'd be
Applebee's
so funny.
Applebee's sponsored the burgers. Chili's is sponsoring the Chili's prize now. Oh my god.
Either way, there has got to be somebody out there. There's got to be a business out there that would I think that it'd be a benefit for them to have that, for that
Yeah,
level of PR.
for sure.
And it's not a lot of money. It's really not compared to what these corporations are making. So
Right.
it's like, are you really sure that it's not worth your while? Anyway, I think it'd be interesting to see who, if anybody, would like to come out of the woodwork to do that. Ultimately, I don't think anybody will, and I think we have just seen the end of those kinds of prizes on Survivor. But what are you gonna do? So let's jump back a little bit and start at the beginning, not the beginning of the season, the episode. We just got off of our 4th straight idol flush, our 5th idol flush of the season, and as Mike Bloom noted, this is the only season where we've actually never had a single idol played. Did I say the only season? I didn't mean to say that if I did. It's one of, and I said one of 4, but they're Jesus, my words. Yeah, no, it's one of 4 seasons where no idols have been played.
Mhm.
So, China was the first one, season 15, one of my personal favorites. Another one of my personal favorites, Token Teens. That was another one. And then Co Wrong, which is another great season. Season 32. So I find it interesting because it's like, do you need immunity idols to really have an interesting game? Because
I mean, I
maybe
feel like the immunity idols made this game interesting, but not for the way that they are intended.
I agree. Took the words out of my mouth. So
Oh,
you
I
bitch.
thought you were posing a question to me.
I was.
Oh, okay.
And you just had the exact answer I was
Oh,
gonna
okay.
have. No, you're good. No, I agree. Especially China is notorious for James going home with 2 idols in his pocket. Like, that was like the biggest jaw dropper in I don't know how long. Yeah, like those kinds of moves. So it's like when you have these records, I know for you, you were a little frustrated because it felt very repetitive.
Mhm.
Um, but I thought it was really nice to, because it brings the wow factor. Like, how can this
Did.
keep happening? And they even talked about it during the reunion when they were just like, yeah, like what the fuck was that? And they were all really, honestly, I really appreciated how upfront they were about it, how honest and how much they were just like, yeah, I screwed up. They admitted they were just like, I got too comfortable. Which I love in players. When players can admit that they're just like, whoopsie daisies, I got cocky.
Yep.
It's what you love. So I thought that was interesting, but we get back and Maria is in hot water. And I
Which
cannot
we both
say,
accurately predicted last week. She was in the most trouble going into this episode.
yeah, and I can't say she handled this well.
No.
The way she spoke
I
to
went
Charlie,
into, and I will say this, that I said on the podcast where I previously like tipped my toe in the water of just dabbling my opinion out there on Maria's pettiness. When I feel like she wouldn't have tried to target Charlie when she did, had he had picked her for the letters. But she disguised it as it's now the time, it's time to make this move. When we all know that that wouldn't have happened that week. She would have let Q go before Charlie. Maybe, no, I don't think she would have done that either. But I feel like it would have been someone else. She would have kept
yeah,
Charlie and Q that week. Had Charlie picked her for the reward, no matter what was coming out of her mouth. It just had levels of petty in it that I just wasn't entirely sure on. This episode here, just like it just I don't want to get too much into like the final bits of this, but
oh, you can if you want, because we can
I
jump
just
around to
feel
some
like
degree.
Maria showed us multiple times, especially in this finale episode. I think here's the thing. I can be petty AF. I love being petty. Oh my god. I
She's
love
about to
being
get feisty,
yeah.
guys.
I love being petty. I mean, I can be a passive aggressive queen, okay? But I will tell you, not in the moment, but I'll tell like I will call myself out on it, you know? I think what like strikes me in a negative way, like a just a ick feeling about this kind of petty is that she is saying things that sound strategic and game wise in her reasoning when those it doesn't make any sense. The logic isn't there for what she's saying. She's pretty good at selling it, but we all know, we could all very, very clearly see the real reasoning behind her decisions. And um I'm so thankful that Charlie had the foresight weeks ago to separate himself and start to work on other relationships and set himself up in a position where she didn't have the power she thought she was going to have.
Yeah, I agree. Um,
By the way, love her as a Survivor player. I'm
oh my
here.
god,
Be
yeah.
petty,
Oh,
be passive aggressive, be cutthroat. Like, I'm here as a Survivor player. I'm here for it. I loved her.
yes. I'm gonna
Um,
say, I think I said it after Q left last week, but I'll say it again. If Survivor 50 happened to be heroes versus villains round 2, both of those two need to be villains.
yeah.
I don't even want questions. Both of them need to be on the villains tribe. Full stop. I don't know. You keep getting the thumbs up thingy. That's so weird on a recording.
My bun is like because I don't have any makeup on, so I know my face does look. I do look like a thumb, you know,
No,
with
you
no makeup
don't.
on.
No,
So
don't. That's just so funny. Oh my god.
fucking MacBook is trolling me now.
Oh boy. And actually, if we were to talk about like a heroes versus villains, obviously you couldn't have everybody back, but there are so many people on this season that could be a returnee that like obviously not
Oh,
all
for
of them
sure.
could be, but like I could see Charlie on a heroes tribe. I could see Liz on a heroes tribe. I could see Ben. I don't know if Ben would
I
really
couldn't
come
see
back.
Liz on a hero's tribe.
I could see Liz on a heroes tribe. I don't know if she's done enough to be
Liz got
villain.
the Delulu edit.
But the fair like I just don't. I guess that's true. I just don't see her as a villain though.
No,
They probably just wouldn't have her back for that.
no.
And I don't mean that in a mean way. It's just
I
like they
mean,
just be like, you don't fit, and it's like whatever. But
hot take, by the
fitting,
way, I do not like Liz.
really,
No. She and we do find out in the post interviews and stuff, she was using like money as a strategy and saying she was a millionaire, saying things like that. Well, she had all this money as like part of her strategy so that people would take her to the end and not see her as a jury threat. And that's when she was going to like reveal, hey, go ahead and vote for me because I lied about my money or I exaggerated about it. But as the season progressed, the increased temper tantrums. And I don't know if that's due to hunger or something like that, but it just every single one was like a you know, kind of tick for me. Leading to her losing fire making and saying boo tomatoes in Kenzie's moment. Um,
oh my god,
just all of it felt like we saw her have her breakdown with Q, but then she also had like a temper tantrum later. She had multiple toddler-esque temper tantrums, and they all really rubbed me the wrong way. And it could be that's just my personality. I am one that like I can cry, but I can articulate how I feel. I can communicate my emotions. You are never going to see me like rage out, stomping my feet. Like I'm a grown ass woman with emotional regulation. Um, and I don't know how. I just don't have the coping skills. Like I wouldn't know how to handle watching an adult behave in that way.
I absolutely agree. And I have a question because like I'm very curious to know how you feel because you and I talk about like um the edit and like we don't get live feeds for this, so we have to rely on them for
Hmm.
what we know about these people. Kenzie has very much come out in the postseason press and been like, she got the Delulu edit, but she is not that Delulu. But my question for you is, if you knew more, even if you knew more about who Liz was and it wasn't all Delulu moments, would that change how you feel about the moments that you saw that did rub you the wrong way? Like, would you, like, I don't know.
I don't think so, and let me tell you why. Because now, whether or not she was saying that she could win, I've said, and I posted on TikTok, like, I think that there could be some merit in that she's not as absurd as an idea of a winner to the jury as the editors made her believe. I said this all in a TikTok. Like, I feel like there were some pieces missing. There was a reason that Ben saw her as such a threat in front of the jury. There were some other comments made by people throughout the episode, and I wrote them down. I just can't find those notes. But
Okay.
but so I do think that there's some merit to that in the jury's perception of her.
I agree.
However, like when she had her "I'm pissed" moment, my gut reaction was like, she's so hungry, she's so tired, and this is just all coming out. It's like an exhaust
Yeah.
system. And then, but after that, when they it kept happening.
Mm-hmm.
And whether it was a vote thing or at a tribal thing or back at the camp thing, like she kept having these moments where it was literally, it it gave the same vibes of her just like laying on the sand and kicking and screaming and flailing her arms. And it just, I don't know if it was hunger. I don't know if it was sleep deprivation. I don't know what it was. So I do always want to give all of these people the benefit of a doubt. I just it's not something I would be interested in seeing again.
Yeah, I totally get that. I don't even know if I have anything more to add to that. I think that's very fair. I think I'm just down for anybody who was a chaos creator to come back.
Which
So
is
that's just
why I
fair.
would endorse Q coming back.
Oh my god. People
Because
are so
chaos,
torn on that.
such a wild card,
I love it.
caused so many like wild moments this season. However, it was more palatable.
And I had somebody come into my comment section about it, which I think is a fair and valid like idea. And they're like, well, now Q knows that he's this chaos agent and he'll just be even more crazy next season.
Love it.
That's the point. That's the point.
I'm here for that.
That's what we want.
Do y'all think for 1 second, like let's just be so fucking for real right now? Johnny Bananas. Johnny Bananas, probably a little douchey, but there is more than enough evidence out there saying that he's a good guy, okay? But he plays it up on Twitter and on the cameras and in House of Villains. You see it like he really leaned into like all the way Omarosa did. And we watched Omarosa on the live feeds in Big Brother. She's not who she was in House of Villains, but she stepped in the House of Villains house leaning into the role, right? So, but it's entertaining as fuck.
Yo, if I got on that show and I found out I got the villain edit because I went off and did some crazy shit, I would be so excited to come back and be a villain again. Though I do think you have to in this time have a really thick skin, which I don't think. I have a decently thick skin to a point. There's definitely a line for me, which is why I don't know if I could handle it. I definitely think Q has the personality to handle it though.
Here's the thing. This is kind of like a cross reference here with wrestling. So for those of you who don't know, I don't think I've ever shouted them out in the podcast. My dad has a really great wrestling podcast that he has a lot of guests on. He does a lot of interviews.
We love
Go
them.
check it out. It's called Talkin' Wrestling. WRAS, Talkin' Wrestling with Pond Water Dave. Pond is in like out by the pond. Pond Water Dave. That's my dad. But he and I grew up he was has always been in the wrestling business. And I grew up just idolizing everything my dad did and want to do everything with him. So for a short period in my life, I trained with him at a wrestling facility and we worked local shows in Texas. I have always been somebody who like, I like peace. I want to get along with everyone. I'm here for kindness and love and positivity. But in wrestling, I got to be a heel. And if you're not familiar with wrestling vernacular, that's the bad guys. Those are the villains. And let me tell you, what a rush, what an outlet to have that platform to be able to like channel a character like that. Um, and it is so much fun, and I can tell you that like anyone can do it. And a lot of these people, Johnny Bananas, Omarosa, Cute, like they do it unintentionally. So
I'll throw
whenever
the Miz in there.
that
Miz does it
label's put
too.
on them, if they just own it and accept it and lean into it, it's chef's kiss reality.
Yeah.
Reality.
I did not mean to speak. I thought you were pausing there, so I apologize. I
No,
was
you're
gonna say
good.
The Miz was a really good example of that too. I
Yeah.
mean, he does it in WWE. He was like, I mean, he came from Real World, and he understood. Like, he leans into it so much, you can see it. And that's what I really enjoy. Like, there is a massive entertainment value that comes with that. I mean, if you watch wrestling, which I'm so glad I've been getting into recently, it is getting so entertaining. So, like, little plug, like, especially if you're gonna go listen to her father's podcast, like, get into wrestling too, because it's getting really good. But, like, that's the point. Like, what is it gonna be interesting? Put it in that perspective. Is wrestling gonna be interesting if we just have one hero battling another hero every single time? If we're just gonna have these kind of, like, one-dimensional, even just two-dimensional personalities coming out, and like, we want dynamic. And I think we lost a little bit of that in casting recently. This season of Survivor has really brought that back, where people still like each other, but they want to kick their ass. They want to be cutthroat. There's been a lot less, like, lovey-dovey's not the word, but it's like kumbaya, you know what I mean? Like,
Mm-hmm.
I just really enjoyed that this season, that people were so willing to play the game, be cutthroat when it was needed. You don't need to have every move be that way. But when it was time and it was necessary, people were willing to do it. It's going to happen all episodes, Sarah. You're just going to get used to it. It's happened like 10 times.
I know. I look like a thumb. I'm telling you.
Don't look like a thumb. It's fucking hilarious, though. Every time it happens, I try not to laugh. But anyway, so I've really enjoyed that. Maria was, if we're gonna jump back over to
Mm-hmm.
jumping all over the place, Maria was in hot water. We were just kind of talking about how she did not handle coming back from Q's vote well. And then we're going into this immunity challenge, which we have some things to talk about. That was very interesting. First of all, we'll mention that Maria was in line to tie a Survivor record for most female and individual immunity wins in Survivor history. She would have joined 4 other women had she won. Kelly Wigglesworth from Survivor Borneo, first season ever. Jenna from Survivor Amazon season 6, Kim from One World season 24, and Chrissy from season 35, which was Heroes, Healers, Hustlers. That one's always been a tongue twister for me and always will be. Kenzie ended up winning this immunity challenge, though. And it's because she got help from Liz. And I saw Survivor alum very torn on whether or not that should have been allowed.
It's not against the rules.
I know it's not, but I've seen, like, people were definitely torn about how that was.
Yeah. Yeah. So yes, I saw the debates and everything, but at the end of the day, like, it's not against the rules. Now, going forward, will it be? Going forward, is this going to be something that they're going to try to prevent happening? Because it was a great moment. It was an opportunity too for Liz to get some points with Kenzie in a spot where she was just going to just lose anyway.
I do wonder maybe if they make it where there are some challenges that they won't tell you, like, they just won't say anything, but, like, at some challenges, they'll be like, "You cannot help the other person."
I
But,
love
like,
a challenge that is like the puzzle where it goes back, where you have
I
to,
love
like,
it
go
too.
back. Love
They
that.
used to they used to
Uh,
do it a lot more. I'm glad they brought that back because it's not just ending on a puzzle, it's a
right.
puzzle that makes me go do a thing.
Yes.
Cool, do that!
I don't want them to prevent this kind of thing from happening again, only because the social element of you had everyone ganging up on Maria. Like,
I think that's where some people didn't like it because they felt like it shouldn't be if we're playing for an individual immunity win and you win with help from someone else. I'm not saying I really am torn.
but if
I'm
you
not
look
really
at
here or there.
yeah, if you look at it long term, say you have somebody who everyone knows is a threat, and in Survivor, you can win back to back to back immunities. And if the only strategy the tribe can collectively come up with is to all kind of group together just to not necessarily make sure one person wins, but make sure one person doesn't win, then that's a strategy in itself. And it breaks up the monotony of comp win. You know what I mean? Like, it's just,
Mhm.
it breaks that up and it brings the social part of the game into the competitions itself. And it also will give somebody who is a comp beast something to think about and something to be hyper aware of, that like there's a risk here that you can win immunity and you really want to win immunity. But at one point you're going to make yourself a target and it's going to be 4-1 or 5-1. And I enjoy it. I enjoy it because it adds another element and an option for strategy.
Yeah, I agree. I just wanna say I do understand why people are upset,
Of
but, like,
course.
I think I'm with you on it ultimately. I do kind of like my idea of them saying at specific times if you're not allowed to help, and then kind of, like,
Mhm.
have those moments where it's like, "Oh, Jeff didn't say that we can't help. Guess I can help somebody in this challenge." Because they do that on Amazing Race, like, in different forms, like, especially, during oh, shit, I always mix them up. One of the shit, it's Detour, I believe. I've watched the show forever, and I'll always mix up roadblocks and detours. But in one of the challenges, that they always have to go through, um, only one player can, from the team of 2 can, participate, and the other teammate cannot help them whatsoever, which I think is really interesting. But it also in Amazing Race, they used to have the non-elimination leg where it would be like, "Oh, like, if you get there last, like, you could be eliminated," and there was that kind of element of surprise. I feel like if we, like, kinda meshed those 2 together, where there was like, "Oh, I can help somebody this time, but I can't help on another one," like, I don't know if that would change anything. That might be also too socially complicated. But I think it's interesting. It definitely sparked a conversation that I think is going to impact, production moving forward, potentially.
Yeah. I
Um,
mean, yeah.
yeah. No, I was trying to make sure I didn't miss anything there. I thought I had a lot more for that, but that was fast. Um, getting out of that, I mean, Maria was not happy. I can't imagine I would have been either. Um, but she her efforts afterward just it felt like there was no way. And it was frustrating to watch at times, probably just because it was like we're omnipotent, right? And we can see everything from the outside. We could see it was over, and she couldn't see it was over.
Mhm.
I don't know. It was just like throwing Ben under the bus gave me the ick. That was really, really frustrating. I get it though. Like, I'm not saying she shouldn't have done it because, like, it's your last ditch effort, but I was just like, oof. Even if you wanted to win the game, you're not making moves right now that are going to help you. So It just very much felt like her game had completely fallen apart at that point.
Right. She got overly confident and overly cocky and got into an I'm untouchable mode. And again with the season, we saw multiple instances of everyone going out of their way to take credit for moves as if they weren't going to get the chance to do that at Final Tribal. Um, excuse me, sorry. So you're putting it out there and you're making this advertising. Look what I just got on my resume. Look, that was my move to make, and look, da, 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 da. And I feel like between that and her pettiness that we discussed earlier, for example, like trying to take the shot at Charlie when she did, and we at the top of this episode, we're coming back from tribal and she immediately pulls Charlie aside and is like, they all wanted me to get you out, and they they tricked me and they blah blah blah. Charlie didn't believe her for a second, because she was kind of blindsided in this moment too. And I could see why he didn't believe her. One, because she was terrible at lying about this. But two, that again, none of the things that she was saying were adding up or making any kind of sense. So I think that like her emotional decision making within the game compacted with her confidence just really put the threat level so high on her that there was just no way out of this, that ever, unless she won immunity, there was no, I don't even think she would have gotten the votes at even if she made
No.
it to final.
I don't either. I think at this, and I say her game had collapsed at this point. Her game collapsed a couple weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
Um, her game collapsed at rock paper scissors. Let's just be
Yeah.
real. Like that was the end.
Yep.
It was kind
And
of
see,
crazy.
there's another instance. I don't think it had anything to do with her not being able to decide between them. I think it
Yeah,
had to do with her not wanting to take Liz because she didn't like Liz, and not wanting to look like the bad guy for not taking Liz.
I could absolutely see that too. Um, and what's also really frustrating is we got to see at least what we think is the moment where Charlie was like shoring up his vote with her, where he's like, "Are we gooch?"
Yeah.
Or like just being like, "We're gonna be on each other's side for for the rest of the game, even if we're voted out, right? Like we got each other." And I don't know. It
They've
just
made multiple agreements throughout the season, and one of them is in the end, the other would vote for them no matter what.
yeah.
Charlie has talked about this in his exit interviews too, that there's things that weren't shown on the show. There were things that she said versus ways that she behaved, on the cameras, and the things that he is finding out after the fact, that they have no relationship. There's no Uncle Charlie anymore. There's they do not have a relationship at this point.
It doesn't mean I don't think he's fully shut it out long term, but right now he is definitely like
Right.
he is very upset with also the things he heard her say about her at or just in general, but I'm assuming about him at Ponderosa.
Mhm.
Um it's just
She definitely got a
frustrating.
hero edit from the show.
I feel like she got a hero edit up until the Q drama or until
Mm,
rock paper scissors, and then after that I feel like she got a villain edit.
they laid it on thick at Tribal. They gave a lot of clips of her. They did the sappy goodbye music. She got a full hero's exit. Um,
I don't know. I don't know if that was a hero's exit. I think that was in my mind, I just saw it as nail in the coffin. This is just your sign that she has no shot.
It turned
That's how
into
I
a
perceived it.
Maria memorial, and I stand by it. Like they laid it on thick for her. They did the sappy music. Her exit was that of, you are just so good at this game. We just, this is purely a game move. You are just such a big threat. It took two of us to take you out in the competition. And then the music, and it just this whole, and then she I feel like she did get a hero edit here. I feel like you and I saw through it and saw the
Oh, totally.
pettiness of, and most people did. I have people all up in my comments agreeing that like these were petty decisions, but the show didn't want us to show it that way. And I mean, Maria didn't either. She didn't say any of these
But,
things
like,
out loud.
and maybe I'm not disagreeing with you, but I think I just have a hard time wrapping my head around how they could look at what had happened and be like, "Hero!" Like, that I think that's where my brain's at, where I'm like I'm not necessarily, like, fully disagreeing, it's just, like, my brain cannot make that connection because,
Yeah.
like, what we watched, there's no hero to that whatsoever, and there's nothing wrong with being a villain. How I think we've probably said that 2 or 3
Yeah.
times on this episode alone. Like, I don't
I think
know.
that they were trying to lean into, if okay, Venus would give us a confessional and say like, fuck them, you know, like we can't share this money. I'm here to get that bag, you know? Like she would just be Maria would say like, I feel like my way to the end is that, you know, and I love Charlie, he's my ride or die, but I feel like I can't win and this is the chance, this is the move I need to make. So she's saying all these things, right? But we know it's like the petty part. So we're seeing through it, but I feel like production was trying to like build the edit around her narrative that we just weren't buying.
Yeah, I'm not even yeah. But why give her that kind of an exit? Not saying to you, saying, like, in theory, if she's gonna pull that move. It just I will say, one of my critiques that still remains is there needs to be some tweaks in how the stories are being told,
Mhm.
because, like, I understand if we cannot get everything into the edit. No one's saying that we expect that. We understand that things have to get cut. That's how this shit works. But, like, when we're going into Final Tribal Council and we find out that the alliance between Charlie, Liz, Ben, and Venus, like, that was a way bigger thing than we realized. And Kenzie, sorry, add Kenzie in there. What the hell? What the hell? Why couldn't we have known, like, that should have been way bigger. And it just bugs me, like, if we're gonna have like, that's why I say sometimes they need to be building the story backward, because also one of the biggest ones is Ben, as everybody's, like, working on making fire, he said, "Charlie's been my number 1 since day 1," and I'm like,
Mhm.
"But when did we see that?" When we saw them do we saw them really bonding, but what we really got was Charlie and Maria being, like, playing the middle, and we didn't really see that it was Charlie and Ben till the end. We just saw, like,
Yeah,
them
you're right.
bonding over Survivor stuff,
Taylor Swift
over
and rock
Taylor
music.
Swift and Metallica. So I'm not saying that they didn't give us hints, but it's like, "Yo, you need to make it clear if that is what the case is." Because I wanna go into Final Tribal Council understanding why someone's gonna say, "He was my number 1," and if that's true, then it's true. And this isn't the first time that we've had this happen in an edit where we go out and then we find out, yeah, there was this alliance and that alliance. Again, if it doesn't make sense to have it in the edit, I understand. But when we're telling a full story throughout a whole season, we need those pieces of context, in my opinion. I don't want to be going into tribal council being like, I didn't think that was that big of a thing. Was that really that big of a thing? And then finding out in the postseason press, it was that big of a thing. Not that it was like the biggest alliance, but that there was more to it. I do think the storytelling, though, I want to be clear, has gotten leaps and bounds better since the beginning of the new era. So I'm not upset about where we're going. I just hope it continues to improve. And one of the things I just am maybe potentially screaming into the void about is like, tell your story backwards. Start at the end, form it backwards so we get all of the information that we need. Or if you don't do it that way, just make sure we get it. I don't know. Just
Mhm.
bugging me. That's the end of my rant there.
Fine.
So yeah, the Maria vote was expected. I felt like that was kind of not boring. It was because they did kind of try and beef it up for us as they possibly could. But I just feel like it was the inevitable. What was really hard for me was watching Ben struggle so much through these last few days. Like, oh, it makes you wonder like, it makes me wonder because I struggle with some of the same things he deals with, and it's like, Jesus, could I actually handle Survivor? Maybe I can't because that shit that shit's hard. But it was really frustrating to ow. Well, we're just off to a great start here. It was really frustrating to watch, not because, like, I was, like, frustrated that Ben was there, it's just, like, it's hard to watch somebody struggle so much. But, like, that major kudos to go through that and stick through it, you know? Like, I hope he's okay. I can't imagine because that I can't imagine that just stops impacting you when you aren't sleeping on the island anymore, you know? Like, how did things go at Ponderosa? That's one of the things I didn't necessarily see in his exit interviews that I would have liked to know, like, "How was your sleep? Did it get better?"
Yeah.
Um,
How long would they after finale, did Ponderosa one night and then fly home?
couple nights, I believe.
Okay.
Um, I'm not sure what they do post, but I know that they stay out there for a little bit. Um, sorry, I
Anyway,
just was thinking. I was just it's just me staring off.
I was excited for Ben's win, his first individual immunity
That
win.
that was really a nice culmination to what we've
Yeah.
seen from him. I my sappy ass definitely teared up a little bit.
I was so happy for him. I will say that, like, after we discussed, like, the different possibilities of what he was gonna do, and I was kinda in the camp where I was unsure because I could see him doing both things. I could see him either taking Kenzie or Charlie and having Liz and the other, fight out with fire, but he's also made it very clear, like, he does play with his heart, but he also when hard moves or moves against his allies have been presented to him, he will very quickly say, like, it's a game. And he'll said it at tribal, like, we love these people, but we're also trying to win a game. And so he's made statements like that where I feel like nothing about this game is super personal to him. They could have taken him out at any point and he wouldn't have been I mean, he would have been upset that he lost, but he wouldn't be upset at
Right.
anyone for making a move against him because
Mhm.
I feel like he really kept the mentality of this is a game throughout. So I could absolutely see him making the strategic move with taking Liz with him, acknowledging that he had the best shot to beat her. Um, and then having Kenzie and Charlie fight out at fire. Um, but for some reason, Ben had it, and I think this was genuine because he said it in his confessional that he was scared to go against Liz in the jury. And we don't know why that is. I don't think he was gassing her up. I think that he genuinely thought that. And I feel like that's part of the things that we talked about earlier in the
Yep.
episode that we're missing out on the edit here. So
Mhm.
he knew that and he told her straight out, like, it's off the table. And she, like, this is the first time she used the word millionaire this season. She said, yeah, I'm a millionaire. No one's going to vote for me. And I was like, oh God, please stop. Please
That
stop.
strategy did not work for
It
her.
did not. But
Like,
then we see her again with like another little tantrum alone on the
yeah.
beach after Ben laid it out and was honest with her. And she spent a good amount of time doing that before she went to go and practice fire making.
I'll always sit here and say that I wish we didn't have to automatically go to fire making though. I don't like how it gives all of the power to just one person.
I don't. And I feel like it's too big
Yeah.
in the eyes of the jury for what it is on the resume. I feel like you can do nothing all game, but then whenever you make fire, then like the jury's like, oh, but they got to watch this live battle out with fire. And I don't think that I don't think it should be as big of a resume item as it's been made out to be. Um,
Oh my god, well, it's
but it was
playing
very
the
neck and neck.
role.
Like
Yeah.
Liz and Kenzie, like they went at it and it was exciting to watch. And Kenzie seemed to kind of be choking where Liz was doing better than we expected her to do. And it was it was intense there for a minute. It was enjoyable to watch.
It was a fun I'll say it was a fun fire making challenge to watch, so I'm not
It was
gonna say
not
that
the
it wasn't.
reason Maria voted for Kenzie. as she said it was. But
I mean,
no.
I think it definitely played a role, but I'm with you. I just want to say I do think it played a role where she was like, "Oh, okay." Like she was like I think she underestimated Kenzie for a lot of the game, and I think that was like her being like, "Oh." But I'm
Yeah.
not saying that like any like I still agree with your main point. I just wanted to make
Yeah.
that. I think she had that and wanted to use that and be like, "That's why." And it's like, I think it played a
No. Yeah.
role, but I don't think it's the sole reason. I don't.
I think that Charlie could possibly have gotten Maria's vote
Mhm.
at Q&A if he hadn't. I think it would have hurt his answers. I think, first of all, Charlie did amazing with his answers.
Oh my god, yeah.
I think he got the number of votes he did because of his answers and because he was able to articulate the strategy and his hand in a lot of the moves that were made. Unfortunately, I feel that a lot of the moves that he made were using Maria or securing himself outside of Maria, distancing himself from Maria. And I feel like by the time that like she could have, there's a chance that she could have kept her word and voted for him. But I feel like her emotions, he just reminded her of all the ways that he beat her in the game. And I feel like that's where her vote went to Kenzie. I do feel like there was a good chance that she could have kept her word to him had his resume not been 50% distancing and getting out Maria.
Yeah, and I think one of the flaws, now that I think about it, one of the flaws to their Denise and Malcolm dynamic is Denise and Malcolm became a duo because they were the only 2 people left on their tribe. Their tribe got decimated
Mhm.
more than Yanu did. Not the most decimated tribe, but one of the most decimated. They literally had to reorganize all the tribes. But that was why they became allies at that point, because they were like, I mean, they were already allies on the tribe, but like at that point, it was their only shot of making it through is being each other's best friend and
Yeah.
being each other's top ally. Siga was a totally different story. Having a Malcolm and Denise run the game versus coming up from the bottom is totally different. And I almost wish, not almost, I really wish I had thought about that dynamic earlier in the season, because it might have. First of all, I predicted Maria to start as my winner pick before we saw anything. As we were going through this season, I was like, she's still got it. After she tanked, I swung to Charlie because it was like, this just seems like the kind of game that this jury would really appreciate. But like, it is just genuinely different when you are playing from the top versus playing from the bottom. And I just wish I had seen that before, because it would have changed how I felt about that dynamic as I was like, oh, Maria's going to win. Oh, Charlie's going to win. Because it's like, well, that's why I think partially Kenzie won, because she played. A lot of people end up winning because they played themselves out of the bottom to some degree. And that's just not what they did. They never were really at the bottom. They were really running shit. And in order to win, if you're running shit, you need to really have a unique resume. And I think that may have been where Charlie's downfall was.
Yeah. I mean, Hunter ultimately ended up voting for Charlie, but he did make it very, very clear in the questioning, I didn't use my idol because of Kenzie. Like, Kenzie's the one that
Yeah.
made me feel comfortable enough not to use it. So I think that a lot of those answers, I could actually see wheels turning during the Q&A section of this.
Yeah.
Again, I really would, and like, let's go ahead and get this in the works. Love to do a deep dive episode in social games versus strategic games and how that statistically pans out, because I'm a whore for statistics. um, And I would like to like do kind of like a case study in that. That would be a lot of fun. Because this was definitely one to really look at in this season, in particular between Kenzie and Charlie. What's very, very interesting to me, and kind of like the like salt in the wound here, I'm empathetically feeling for Charlie, is that had Maria voted for Charlie, it would have been tied. And Ben has come out and said he would have voted for Charlie. So had Maria voted for Charlie, Charlie would have won the season.
All I
Which
can
to
think.
me would have been what, like, again, I'm stoked Kenzie won. I am
Oh my god,
so happy we have a
yes.
woman. I do not want to take any away, but like it's
No.
really fun to know like one, how close we were. There was in the Discord they were saying like I think it's gonna be like a 5-2 vote. I'm like, no, 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 no. I think it's gonna be neck and neck. I really, really thought we were either gonna tie it up or it was gonna be like one vote off. Because I was going through all the faces. And to be honest with you, I was really concerned. Um, I did not think Tevin was going to vote for Kenzie at all.
I had
Um,
no idea who Tevin was gonna vote for,
he came
honestly. I
in, if
could
you
not
notice the
read him.
answers, like he was very defensive almost with Kenzie's answers, whereas he seemed a little bit more supportive and like had like the reactions more agreeable to Charlie's answers. Tevin, if you remember early on, got bad vibes from Kenzie almost immediately. He wanted her out. Um, but that was pre like soda gotta go to. Um, but
I love that line. That's oh my god. Soda got to go to.
um, so I really thought that Tevin was gonna vote for Charlie there. I was very surprised by his vote. Tiffany made no qualms about who she was voting for. It didn't matter what came out of their
Wild.
mouths. Her vote was going to Kenzie. She was ride or die. I don't know how these things have always gone, but I
Been
feel
different
like
all the time.
Tiffany was delivering. Okay. I'm gonna be your timer. 30 seconds, go. Like, like it was a whole thing. Kenzie, by the way, did get more than 30 seconds. But
Yeah, I know.
but I don't know who elected her. I was here for it for entertainment reasons, but it also made me very uncomfortable.
Oh, and Ben was not happy about it. He made that very clear in his exit press. He was like, "I didn't like being on a timer when I had that was like the big
Not just
question
being
that
on
I
a
wanted
timer,
to
but Ben
answer."
was very, very neglected and
Yeah.
overlooked throughout a lot of the jury
And
questioning.
he was very upset about mentioned that in his exit press where he was like, "I felt like it was pretty much just them choosing between that
Charlie and
Kenzie and
Kenzie,
Charlie at
yeah.
that point." And like I don't know. I feel a little frustrated by that because like part of Survivor for me is literally the survival element. Bro literally I don't even know how he got to final 3
But
with all
he's
the
there and
struggles.
they're not. And that's the bottom line. Like at
For
that bare
real.
minimum deserves the respect that he needed more time and more attention into like how he got where he got. I feel like he could have articulated his questions a little bit better or his
I
answers a little
agree.
bit better. But
I
I
think he was
feel
very honest.
he was very honest and I appreciated his vulnerability with us, especially for those of us who suffer with anxiety. um I feel like that meant a lot to me to have not just that representation but just to have somebody else be able to articulate something that I struggle with on a daily basis, and I know you do
Right.
too. um However, I feel like he could have put more of the focus on his social game and hit the
Yeah.
relationships that he built,
Yeah,
not
like
just
Kenzie.
his anxiety struggles. I feel like that's where like he needed to amp up that part of his resume more. Um, I feel like Kenzie's answers, she did talk a lot about her relationships in the game. She did acknowledge that she did not control a single vote this season. She just talked about how she rode there like on her relationships, which is very, very, very important. Um, I feel like she needed to give herself more credit than she did.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like if she would have brought up some of the early stuff, maybe with people who aren't there anymore, like talk about the Banu of it all and the, you know, and talked about how she was navigating being on a losing tribe for the first part of this, like pre-merge,
Mm-hmm.
and how she ended up coming into merge and surviving that more. That, I mean, she won, so whatever. But I'm saying that that's kind of where I was lacking from her. What I was
Yeah.
lacking from Charlie was less on the Maria versus Charlie bit, and I wanted more of the building with everyone else bit.
And I also want to get your opinion on this because we kind of got some indications that part of what played into the vote was people's personal circumstances in life.
Mm-hmm.
What is your opinion on that? And I'm not. I'm one that is kind of,
I feel like
again.
it's very valid. I
I
feel
agree.
like it's a very valid thing. It's kind of like, if we have a courtroom and juries, like a jury of your peers to judge you. There's a reason that there's a line of questioning beforehand when jurors are picked to find out if they have any personal biases on whatever the case is going to present, because people cannot help but bring those in and bring their own personal situations in. I feel the same goes with Survivor or Big Brother, anything that if your personal story or your income level or your what tax bracket you are, or what kind of life you're living, or where your money is going, um, has the chance to strike a chord with it, whether it be in a negative or positive light, with any juror, any person. So I feel like that is a risk you're always going to take. I do not
Yeah.
feel like anyone should be obligated to say that they are going to donate X amount to charity or they want to do anything like that charitable wise. I feel like Kenzie's answer, like I do all this. This is for me. This is for me. I feel like that was more than acceptable answer, and that's more than like honest, and I appreciated it and I loved it. If I was a juror, I would have like, yes, get that bag, girl, like it's yours, you earned it, you deserve it, like you don't need to sugarcoat it with anything else. I feel like there's no wrong answer here. Whatever you want to use the money for, it is your prerogative. I don't think that there's any way that you could ask a juror, though, to not think about that or consider that in their decision, because they're going to, whether they mean to or not.
And I think that's really, I really, that's my bottom line too. I couldn't agree with that more. I understand. So I've seen a bunch of people talk about just whether or not it's fair to bring it in because it's not part of the game. But I think to your point, it doesn't have to be. I think there are plenty of things that are non-game related that get pulled into that decision anyways. And it's not intentional. It's just how people's brains function. It's just like you said, if you can't go in with the ability to remove the bias, it's something you have to exist with.
Mhm.
Whether you like it or not, you can be pissed, and there are people who are pissed, but guess what? You don't really get to change it.
Yeah.
You don't. Um, I think that's a really interesting note. So yes, friendly reminder that I won the draft. That's 2 for Abby and 0 for
Mhm.
Sarah. We still got
Really thought I was going to win this one, and then also salt in my wound too. Fucking Maria.
So, do you have the graphic up? Can I pull that up?
Yeah,
I'm
I can
getting
pull it up.
that. So I literally have Maria and Kenzie as my only 2 people left. Sarah walked into this with Ben, Charlie, and Liz. I was like, damn, she's got me beat. God bless Kenzie. Thank you so much. We don't actually have a prize or punishment picked out either.
Mm-mm.
So
Dragon rights.
my guess,
You guys have like 30 days to pick something for Big Brother, so.
I'll recommend that if you want to have it play into Big Brother, we do a cast draft. We analyze lots of stuff. If there's something you want like to kind of play into that, keep it open. Love it. It can be a prize, can be a punishment, can be both. And we'll make TikToks about that to make sure that y'all see it. Talk about this a little bit more in a bit, but we are going to be taking a hiatus, not even hiatus. We're just going to be taking a couple weeks break from the podcast while we prep for Big Brother. It's only about a month out at this point.
Yeah.
A little
Or
more
you want
than
to
a
start
month,
getting
but
cast announcements or rumors or
the casting just ended, so
the house announcement, like they'll do a house tour and
it'll be lots of good stuff. So
yeah.
if you're listening and you have any ideas, I'll do my quick little spiel real quick. Email the podcast at wickedunscriptedpod, pod at gmail.com. That's wicked unscripted pod, pod at gmail.com. Thank you.
We're gonna try to do like YouTube shorts. We are gonna get the Patreon back up.
We're gonna have a lot of fun stuff. I have some ideas for how we can kind of we'll still be doing like our normal analysis when it comes to podcasting, but I have some like fun little tweaks I'm thinking about to kind of spice it up rather than us just talking out our ass the entire time. But all of that, we still kind of have to talk about it between ourselves, figure it out, map it out, and we're really excited. This is our third Big Brother season of fourth. Jesus Christ.
I will say that the BB Bible is going to be back. I'm very, very excited to announce that I have purchased a Plod. I don't know if anyone knows what that is, but it is a AI like recording device that I will be able to put up to the live feeds, and it will automatically transcribe the conversations from the live feeds or sum up the day for us. So I'm very excited about that. I ordered it, so it should be in the next couple weeks. I got to do some testing to see what that looks like. But for the BB Bible access holders, so if you purchased a BB Bible last year, that is for last year. It is the same flat feed for this year, but it's for the whole season, and you will have access to these live feed transcripts. There will likely be a link in the BB Bible that will go to the transcriptions, because I'm going to need to auto upload them into another document. But if you are new here and you don't know, the BB Bible is a breakdown of all the cast, their bios, their backgrounds. Then we record the competitions, what place that they came in, their wins, the losses, veto holders, the votes, and
draft picks.
And it has our draft picks in it. And there's like a tab for every single player, so it'll notate like any kind of noteworthy things about that player. And then there will also be live feed information in there as well. Also the phone number to text if you want to live text me during the show, the link to our Discord, all of that is housed in the BB Bible as a Google Doc that you have permissions to. And at the end of the season, I unlock it so that those who have purchased it can download it for their personal use. So yeah, that will be coming back. I've already started working on it. It's going to be more robust. It was super robust last season. It's going to be even more so this season. So it's a very, very, very helpful tool for those of you who can't stay up to date on the live feeds.
Yeah, I'm very excited for this season of I almost said Survivor. Almost, honestly, though, a perfect segue into talking about Survivor 40 Several. I will be calling it 47.
Yeah, it can't be called anything else.
I refuse to call it 47. Sorry.
Yeah. We need to start the hashtag now, Survivor 40 Several.
Literally. So perfect. And we are, as we mentioned earlier in the episode, so stoked. This cast is already stacked, and we don't even know the whole cast at this point, and this cast is already super exciting. So we talked earlier about John Lovett and Asia. So let me go through. I will pull up the cast thread and let's talk about who we know is going to be on the new season. So we have Asia, who we know from Rob Has a Podcast.
Mm-hmm. Love Asia.
Just so excited to a lot of us have been begging to have somebody from the realm go on there, and it's been fun because we get to see now after years of analyzing and thinking about the game from this omnipotent perspective, how it's going to play out once you get into the field. It's going to be so I'm geeking out. It's going to be so much fun. And Sarah, she's from Houston.
Uh-huh.
So, little, and not that you're close to Houston, but little Texas blood. Love that. Up next we have, oh, sorry. Do you want any comments before I jump on to the next person?
No.
Okay, so then next we have Andy. Andy is actually from my area. He's a teaching assistant at Brandeis University. He's originally from Buffalo, New York. Has a master's degree in linguistics, computational linguistics, rather. And he also has a bachelor's degree in film and television production from New York University. So fancy schmancy there. And obviously, if you have any comments, jump in whenever.
No, but I feel like we should be doing an episode of the cast announcements and all of their like backgrounds and everything.
For sure.
Yeah.
And this is also, I meant to mention this before. This is from Inside Survivor. They are the ones that have been leaking this. So this is not anything from me. This is them. Got to credit them with all this. They do it every year. And I also apologize if there's any mispronunciation of names before we know how some of them are pronounced. Next is Tiana. She's a volleyball and life coach from Hawaii. She has a podcast called the Fearless Fulfillment Podcast, where she tries to inspire people to discover their limitless potential. And she was actually an alternate for season 45. Next, we have Jerome. Jerome actually appeared in the preview. He is a professional esports host from Phoenix. He's been hosting esports games since 2022. He emceed esports dinner in 2022, all that good stuff. In the preview, he actually said, I want to come here and really be one of those big name players. And I feel like when they show us these, I mean, it's apparently not even filmed. So who knows if that really has any indication on how his game is going to play out. But definitely an interesting intro to Jerome. Next we have Rachel. She is a visual designer from General Motors from Michigan. She's married. She was an alternate for and she's played on multiple online reality games, and she was an alternate for this past season. So we have two previous alternates who are now making the cast, apparently. Up next is Sia Wright, rather. She was Miss Delaware USA in 2018. She's currently an ICU nurse. She was also in the preview, and she said people should not underestimate her just because she is Miss Delaware. I think she was the one that was like, I can fight like a dog. I was like, geez. I love it, though. It's so fun. Next up, we have John Lovett from Pod Save America, if anybody knows. He also co-founded Crooked Media, if you know Crooked Media. Was a speechwriter for Barack Obama and also worked for Hillary Clinton when she was a senator back in 2008. When she was a senator and then on her 2008 campaign, rather. So when I saw him in the preview, I pooped myself a little bit. Like, I just want to know how he got here. Like, I didn't know he was that big of I knew he watched, but I didn't know like he was that big of a fan that he would be eager to apply. So that'll be interesting. Still nothing?
No, I had to mute my mic because the dogs are wilding out.
Okay, got you. I wanted to make sure that eye look wasn't like you had something to say.
Me to listen and see if they were shutting up yet.
Nah, you're good. Up next is Genevieve, senior counsel at Priceline in Winnipeg. So she's a Canadian, went to law school. She's got her doctorate in law from University of Manitoba. So we got another lawyer lady, which should be fun. Up next is Teeny, who they are an associate solution architect and freelance writer from New Jersey. They're also very active in the online reality gaming community, and competed on Survivor Gettysburg, where she placed 6th. Next up is Gabe. Gabe is a radio host from Baltimore, Maryland. He did a podcast for the Baltimore Ravens, which is really interesting because the next person we have coming up is also a football guy. His name is Sam Phelan. He's an NFL reporter who I am wondering if I ever crossed paths with him because back in my day when I covered sports, he covers the Tennessee Titans. And
he's a cutie patootie.
He is a cutie patootie. He looks like a younger Teddy Bruschi to me. Like, I don't know if any Patriots fans, but like the photos they show, it looks like he could be Teddy Bruschi's son. But he previously worked with ESPN Radio. He's currently a co-host of the A to Z Sports Morning Show. I know
we got quite a bit of like broadcasters here, you know.
You're not the only person to point that out. It's an interesting casting choice, and it makes me wonder, like, what the thought process was going into this one. Not in a bad way, just like it's a lot of chatterboxes.
This would have been very on theme to have Abigail Adams on
Well, I didn't apply, and I probably, for certain reasons that if you've paid attention, you probably know, I probably won't get cast for that show for quite some time. So, fever dream. But anyways, next up is Sue. I'm excited to see Sue. Sue is a private pilot and flight instructor from New York. She is the owner and founder of the flight school called Whiskey Foxtrot Aviation. And she has a goal of getting more women to become pilots. She started that initiative in 2020. And just from watching her in that preview, she looks so fun. I'm so excited. And I'm going to make it very clear, Sarah, I will be, like you said earlier, I will be battling you for her in the draft. Next up is TK. He is a player services manager for the NFL. There's a lot of sports connections too this season. So like on top of like lots of broadcasting, lots of sports, because he's the player services manager for the NFL Players Association, which is huge. That's big. It's a lot of big names. And he has a degree in sports management from Townsend University. Then we have Annika. Annika is a finance and operations manager at A&P Agency in Los Angeles. Graduated from Boston University. There's a lot of Boston people this year.
There always is.
I love it. Love it. She graduated from Boston University in 2019. And she was part of the school's competitive hip-hop dance troupe, which is really fun. Then we have Solomon Yee. He is a brain therapy representative from Connecticut. That's fun. Connecticut doesn't always get a ton of reps. He's also a former professional poker player, though he hasn't played since 2019. But we've seen professional poker players do well on these kinds of shows in the past. So I will be curious to see how he does. And I believe so far that's all we have. There's going to be more coming out. There's a couple names that we haven't seen yet, but for now, that is the list of cast members. The era. Neither words were what I was searching for. The preview that we got for this, though, I thought it was really interesting because it was a lot of lots of hammering and like seeming like a lot of blacksmithing, and I don't know if that's gonna like play into a theme at all, or if they're just trying to just fill some gaps because they haven't filmed yet. Who knows? Yeah, I'm personally excited. I don't know if you have any thoughts about.
I'm excited, and yeah, I want to dig deeper into this cast, and I know that it's not complete yet. The cast list isn't completely out yet, so there's still a few more in there. But once those all come out, we'll do our normal draft pick. And
who are they saving? Jesus Christ! I mean, if you already dropped Asia and John Lovett,
yeah. Are
we getting a third where we're just gonna poop our pants more? No, I'm just kidding, but still. So I'm so excited for this. This is gonna be a really, really fun season. Not that it's gonna happen this season, but Jeff has said that he is open to returning to 39 days in the future. I don't know when that would really be, and I think that's interesting because, like, he's kind of not said that in the past. Like, in the past, he's kind of been like, "I'd like to keep 26 days," and it's like, which way we going?
Yeah.
Which way we going? Going with the wind? Kinda feels like that sometimes. To be fair, it could also just be that he's, like, taking time to think, listening to fan reactions, and if that's it, that's all we've been asking for. That's all that matters. He's also said that he's open to resuming family visits. And that's really big because that is where we saw Jared from Big Brother 25 for the first time because he was his mother's family member that came and visited on Survivor Game Changers. But it's less about that. And I think that's going to be a really big thing to bring back if and when they can, because the theatrics that you get when you promote that the family episode's coming up, that's one that that's an appointment television episode. Like, people will go straight to watch that. So that'll be fun. And that's pretty much all I have for us. Anything you want to, like, mention before we wrap up?
No, it was just a
Busy
really fun
episode.
season.
I
And
know.
was a very busy episode. It was a great episode. I really, again, love this season.
Yeah.
It's going down in the books as a case study for sure. And I'm excited to look more into that and for season 40 several and
So good.
getting ready for Big Brother.
How many Jelinski jokes do you think we're getting next season, though?
So many.
Oh
All
my
of them.
god.
Uh,
No, come on. I think we're gonna get a bunch.
we won't though, because they haven't seen it.
Yes, they have. They're recording they're filming now.
They didn't just start filming though.
Yeah,
It should be around finale-ish.
I thought it said that they were filming in May.
For 40 several?
Yeah.
No, they've already started filming, but like they should be almost done with filming by now.
Yeah, but Jelinski was out a long time ago. That was weeks ago. They absolutely had
We'll
time to
see.
see it. I think
feel
they
like
have
we might
plenty
see
of
more
time.
in 48.
But then it doesn't matter. Then there's no 40 several. I
know.
think we're gonna get it.
Okay.
Anyways, that's neither here nor there. But that wraps up this episode of Wicked Unscripted. So if you like what you hear, don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast. We're always regularly posting updates on our TikTok accounts, and we will be doing a lot more of that as the Big Brother season comes along. So make sure that you're following us. You can find me at It's Abigail Adams. You can find her at Sarah Talks Big Brother, and then you can find Wicked Unscripted at Wicked Unscripted. You can find us on Twitter at It's Abigail Adams, and if you just search Sarah Talks, you'll find her there too. Did you change your handle to Sarah Talks officially?
Yes, or my name. I don't know. You search Sarah Talks and it comes up.
That's fine. As long as you get that, it's all that matters. But if you want to ask us a question, share your thoughts, or leave us a tip, email the podcast at wickedunscriptedpod@gmail.com for more. That's wickedunscriptedpod@gmail.com. We're always looking for fresh and diverse voices to join the conversation. And with that, thank you for listening. We'll see you next time, and we hope you enjoy the season.
Bye.